Now, if you've got a WordPress website, I'm pretty sure you know you're going to need to have some form of security on there. The thing is, security options are not necessarily that cheap. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Web Totem, which is currently on lifetime offer over on AppSumo. So even the base plan comes in at only $59, and that includes 10 websites. So that's already a good starting point and could be enough for most users. So what exactly is Web Totem and what's it do? Well, basically it uptime monitors, it checks and disinfects any viruses. It has a firewall built in. There's quite a few different options inside there. Now, to be able to see how effective this is, you need to have it running for at least 7 days to start to get statistics in. But you can also run it at the beginning and get an overview of where you are right now. So ideally, you'd install this right at the beginning when you install WordPress and you start installing all your plugins. You have this running just to make sure everything is being monitored as you're going through and doing everything. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you, first of all, the deal over on AppSumo. Second of all, we're going to take a look at how we set things up. We're going to add our first site to it. This is a first look for me as well as for you. So with that being said, this is the website for Web Totem. If we hop over to AppSumo, you can see this is the deal. So currently starting at $59. So let's just jump over to the plans themselves. And there are currently only 3 plans included in this, which is quite nice to see that you don't end up having the 10 like you can do when it comes to some AppSumo deals. But as you can see, this is the plan that I picked up right now to test it out, which is the tier 1, $59. 10 websites, 3 client sub accounts if you want to use this on client websites, and white labeling, plus all professional plan features. If you jump up to the tier 2, you get 30 websites for double the price. So that's pretty cool to see. You're not actually just doubling it, you are tripling it. If you go to tier 3, which is $177, you get unlimited websites. So this is great if you run an agency, if you have multiple client sites now and you're going to work with more clients moving forward, this could be a great option. You can white label it. You only get 10 client sub accounts though, which is a little disappointing, which means you can only have 10 accounts in your unlimited websites that clients could log into and see what's going on and check their sites out and so on. So if you wanted to use that feature, that might be something that could be a limitation. However, you can still send out automated reports direct from your dashboard, and you can monitor and get an overview of all of the different client sites inside your dashboard. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at what is included with this. And then we're going to take a look at how it all works. So you've got malware detection, malware scan, basic malware removal, malware prevention, web application firewall, firewall logs and analytics, virtual patching, vulnerability detection, global defense network, and custom settings. So all sounds pretty good. Now, I've already gone ahead and set up my account and I've logged in. I've got no websites on you whatsoever. So you're going to see this in action alongside me actually doing it all. Now, right off the bat, before I even go ahead and install this and set up any sites, I would definitely say that I don't know enough about Web Totem right now to put this onto mission critical websites. So I would suggest if you purchase this, use it on sites that are not that important to you, sites that you are developing, sites that are your own sites that you test things out on, just so you can make sure you're happy with the whole setup before you put it onto a critical website. The nice thing with purchasing this through AppSumo is that you do get 60 days money back, no quibble guarantee. So if you find that it doesn't do what you want it to do, doesn't work the way you want it to, slows your sites down, whatever, you can get your money back within 60 days with no worries at all. So it's always good you've got that little bit of peace of mind before you actually shell out and use this on critical sites. Now, one thing I do want to do before I actually run this is I want to run a quick test on my site itself, a speed test, before we make any changes, just so we can see our starting point before we enable the plugin inside WordPress. Now, it's also worth bearing in mind that this is not restricted to only working with WordPress. You can use this on pretty much any kind of site where you can add a little bit of code. It's just easier when it comes to working with WordPress because there's a dedicated WordPress plugin. Okay, so with that being said, let's just open up GT Metrics and we're just going to run a basic test on here. Now, the site I'm using is just a demonstration site that I set up in a previous tutorial. So it's a fully featured site. There's a blog on here, there's a theme on here, there's some plugins and things like that. So it is a site that is close to a released site as you would get. So we're going to analyze this and see what it comes back with its initial scores. So this is our starting point. This isn't an optimized site by any stretch of the imagination. So this is what we're working with first of all. So we've got a starting point to work with. With that being said, let's go over now and set things up and start working inside Web Totem. So we're going to add our first website. So we're going to add this in, HTTPS, and we're going to drop in the link to this. And we'll just set that up on there. There we go. Tags, test site. Okay, we'll add that in. You can see now, all right, let's go. Let's get to work. The website is currently on a scan. We recommend you install our site agent that will protect your website from hacking attempts and malware. Now, I've already gone ahead and done that. So we can say install agent, and we're going to say antivirus and firewall. So this is saying the procedure for installing agents on your site. Server-side scanner that neutralizes malware in one click and notifies you about new, modified, and deleted files. And the firewall, smart proactive protection against intrusions and new emerging threats powered by AI and herd immunity. Now, AI is one of those things, whenever I see that, I do get a little skeptical because it seems to be the buzzword of the year. But let's go ahead and say install the agent. So we've got manual, so you can manually installation and complete the several steps. You've got automatic, which you can then go through an FTP server, and we've got WordPress. Now, if you were using the manual or the automatic you need to have FTP access. So you just need to have those details, which would just normally be your FTP login details, your username and your password. That should be more than you need to do. So we've got the WordPress solution already done. If we say go to store, that's just going to take us over and show us where it is. But I've already gone ahead and downloaded that. So let's just go into my plugins. There's my WP Security, which is the plugin they're talking about. We'll activate this, and then we'll see what we need to do to get this up and running. Okay, so that's already installed. You can see the WP Security. Let's come into the login option, and we just need the API key. So we're going to hop back over to here, and we'll close this down, and we now need to go ahead and get ourselves that API access key. Now you've got a nice little onboarding wizard here that'll take you through the steps, and you can see there's 10 steps. For now, I'm just going to say I'm going to bypass that. What I want is to get access to that API key. So let's hop over into top section, and there's our API keys. We're going to select that, and we can see we've got it to generate our key. So we're going to generate this, and once that's generated, I can copy that over and paste that into the site. So there we go. There's our key. We'll copy that. We'll head back over to our site. Let's go into the dashboard, and let's just put that key inside there. So let's paste that in, and we'll activate this. That should then link the two together, and all being well, it should start to be able to do what it needs to do. So we'll see how long this takes to go ahead and activate. And there we go. Didn't take too long, probably about 5-10 seconds. And as you can see, this is giving us an overview now of our site. Now, obviously, we've just installed this. We don't really have much in the way of data to be collected right now. But let's just jump over into the actual dashboard again of this, and let's close this down. Okay. Yeah, we've got that. So what we're going to do is going to go back to this. We're going to go back to our sites. So there's our site. So it's telling us we need to install this. However, we've just gone ahead and installed it. But let's just open this up and take a look at what's going on. Okay, so this is our monitoring section. We've got a scanning section, and we've got an agent manager. If we open up all stats, this is going to now give us all the information that we can glean from this setup. As you can see, we've got monitoring, firewall, antivirus logs, server resources, and an overall scoring. So at the moment, it's telling us 100% availability because we've just literally installed this. But if you don't already have an uptime monitoring service, then this could be useful to you. If you do have uptime monitoring, this is probably not going to be too useful at all. But what do we have? You need to install the agent manager. Let's go back and make sure that's installed. Okay, so that's installing. So we're going to leave that run through a couple of seconds, and we'll see what happens when that's all finished. Okay, so that's now finished the installing process. It does take a little bit of time, and you do kind of wonder if things are working correctly or not working at all. But give it a little bit of time, probably a couple of minutes, and that seems to work out perfectly fine. We hop back on the dashboard. You can see everything is set up inside there. Now, what we're seeing inside here, all our statistics, which is going to give us an overview of everything we can see. Now, the first thing you can see it tells us is that the firewall needs training. So it needs up to 2 days to finish training. So you're going to need to give it at least sort of 48 hours to start seeing the firewall doing any kind of work. If we hit show more, it's going to give us some information about what it does. So it's 24/7 protection, attack reports, AI and herd immunity, and global defense network. all pretty cool buzzwordy kinds of things. As long as it works, I don't care what they call it. So what else do we have inside here? Our availability, like we just spoke about, your random access memory. So this is going to show you how much RAM your site is using. So if you find that your site slows down or you have issues, then maybe you need to up the memory, for example, on the server that you're on. And you can see this will at least give you the ability to monitor and record that. And you can get the information back weekly, monthly, or yearly. So you can see if there are any spikes, and then you can see if they correlate to something. Again, it's quite useful if you find that your site is under attack, like a DDoS, for example. You might find things like the random access memory is being hit hard. You know, your CPU load is going to spike, which means that it takes your site offline. Lots of different reasons why you'd want to monitor this kind of information moving forward. And again, you can see nothing's really coming up on here because I've literally just installed everything and the site is just a test site more than anything. You can see it gives us information about the disk usage, and if we click on the eye, it shows the disk load and its accessible memory, although that's kind of odd why that's called disk usage. I'm not quite sure why that's done like that. We can see what PHP version we're running, the CPU count, and the operating system. So we're running on a Linux operating system. We can see if there are any attacks, how many of those were blocked, how many got through, where the attacks came from, what country. We can see the activity on our firewall when this starts to actually monitor things and it starts to get trained and get some information coming through. And again, you can see this is going to show us a weekly, but we can switch between monthly, yearly. We can open up the settings and we can see additional information inside there. So firewall custom rules, your GDN, which is the protection of hackers detected on other networks connected to your global defense network. So you could enable that if you wanted to avoid having hackers that are known trying to attack your site. Again, you can see we've got DDoS or DOS protection, login attempts, quite a few different things on there that can be quite useful. You can filter these down based upon all the IP blacklist, the signature, the DOS, your login attempts, show blocked options. So there's useful information inside here. You can see it's checking antivirus, and this is coming back and says scans for viruses and file modifications. Okay. So you see it's scanned 10 files. None of those files have been infected, but obviously anything that may be affected on your site and infected would list and show up inside here, and then you can decide how to deal with them. You can see you can delete from inside here if you need to. We can show more information, and again, you can see there's additional information inside there. Scanned files, changed files, deleted files, infected files, any permission changes. So you can have this to monitor for quite a few different things. Moving forward, you can see the scanned files are increasing as it's going through and scanning things in the background for me. Let's go back to all our stats a second. Okay, what else do we have on here? So that's the antivirus. Your SSL, so this is telling you if you have an SSL certificate active, how many days left, when it was issued, and so on. Deface, not too sure about that. But this is tracks the possible hacker attacks on the main page substitution. Your reputation, now this is going to take a little time because it is still crawling the site, but this will show you any reputation issues you may have on your site, on the domain, and so on. So this is quite useful. If you find that there's a problem with the domain, you might have been blacklisted, this will give you information about that with 60 plus blacklisting authorities. Then you've got your port scanner. This is going to check any port scans, your technologies that are currently being used, like Vue.js, JS, Google Fonts API. You can click and go in to see all the technologies. You can see this is currently hosted on SiteGround using WordPress. The Google Font API is being used. We use Vue.js and Nginx. Then you've got your scoring, which is going to give you an overall score of the health of your site. As you can see, this isn't scoring particularly great, but then we can take a look at what recommendations it says to go ahead and improve that and get ourselves a little higher. So we take a look, you can see we've got website security and compliance. So we use the content management system. CMS vulnerabilities are not detected. So this is outdated versions of a CMS are more vulnerable to attacks. So just basic information about, what to look out for, how you can deal with things, those kinds of things. Any open ports, cookie security, quite a few different things. So you can see there's some things I would need to do on this site. And again, your HTTP security headers and content security policy. Again, different things you could go ahead and get stuck into and make changes to. Now, this is something that if you're not that au fait with the terminology they're using here, this could be kind of overwhelming and scare the living bejesus out of you. But it is still useful. And if you're ever unsure of these kinds of things, it is useful sometimes to reach out to your hosting company and just ask them, how can you deal with some of these things, like the ports that are being open, if there's something that could be a security issue, if there's something you can close themselves, or whether they can deal with these things for you. So, don't be afraid to do those kinds of things. Now, with that being said, if we hop over into the dashboard again, what we get inside here is basically the exact same information. So you can have an overview inside the Web Totem dashboard itself, so up to your 10 websites or unlimited, whatever plan you decide to go for. This will give you an overview, which you can then easily look at all your sites, your client sites, all those kinds of things, and you can get an overview of all of the sites and see if anything needs to be dealt with. Whereas in the site itself, with the plugin installed, this is just giving you information for this specific site. So that's pretty cool. Your firewalls inside here, your antivirus and so on, all those things are inside here in the same as they are in the dashboard. You've also got a dark mode if you prefer to use that, which for me, I think just looks a lot nicer. And you can see that just gives you the same kind of data as we've got inside the dashboard itself. Information, if we go inside there, you can see the general information. This is going to take you over to the Web Totem site and give you info if you need help and support over the features of the dashboard, those kinds of things. Okay, so what are my first thoughts on this particular tool? Well, first thoughts are there's probably all the things that you need to know about it being covered. The basics are being covered inside here. And it is still a fairly young product. It's not going to be up there with the tools like WebArcs and stuff like that because they've been around and been established considerably longer. However, like I said at the beginning of this video, you do need to have security options installed as part of your website. You do need to make sure that you are monitoring things if you have sites online that are important. And what I would say is that this is something that the price is not over the top to get in on right now. You've got 60 days. If you don't like it, you can just refund on it. However, I think this is the starting point. And from what I've seen with information to do with the company behind this and some of the organizations they work with, such as government organizations and things, they do seem to have a potential product that could be quite good if you get in on the sort of the ground level right now, even if you don't use it for 12 to 18 months. And this is kind of what I look at a lot of the time when it comes to AppSumo deals, is not so much where they are now, as long as they kind of have a good, what can I say, roadmap ahead of them with good features and they keep up to that, you can get in on quite an early stage, save yourself a ton of money and have a product in 12 to 18 months that can actually rival some of the ones that are out there now and save yourself a ton of cash. But that being said, like I say, these are your decisions, entirely up to you. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. What else do we have? Reports. So we can generate reports inside here. So if you are working with clients, it's quite good to see that you can do that. And there's a white label option as well. Not too worried about that right now. So we say generate a new report. You can see, select the site you want. So when you've got multiple sites, you choose the site from the list. The period for the report, 1, 3, 6 months and a year. And then you can choose what you want to include in this. So you can make it as simplistic or as complex and comprehensive as you need to send out to a client or for yourself. So I say generate the new report, and that should then generate a PDF report for us, at which point we then have it downloaded. We can click to open that up. And as you can see, this gives us an overview of basically the same info that we've already seen. So the availability is inside here for that period of time. You can see scanned files, changed files, detected files, those kinds of things. So quite useful, including all these security monitoring reports and so on. So quite cool that that's actually included as part of it. Like I say, there's a white label option should you want it. Documentation then is just going to take you to the help center so you can find out how to use the tool, how to get more from it. And I'm going to need to take a little bit of time myself to sit down and have a good look over this to see the best way to optimize this, what to look out for, how to use it properly. And finally, you've got support, which then takes you over to how to get in touch with support themselves. So that's kind of like a brief overview of how you set it up, the ease in which you can actually install it into your site, some of the basic functions that you can kind of see. So I'm going to come back in a couple of days, take a look at this on this site, see what info comes back. So if you're interested in finding out more about the results that I get from this, let me know in the comment section below, and I will take a look at creating a follow-up video to this. As I've said, if you're kind of interested in taking a look at this, I would look at it as a longer term investment than something you would necessarily want to use straight away. And like I say, for $59 for 10 websites or moving on up to the higher tiers, you're not going to break the bank on this right now. And it could be something that pans out into a nice solid product moving forward into the future. Okay, so before I wrap this sort of first look video up, let's just do that retest now when it comes to GT metrics. So this is where we were, 79, 100. Don't take too much notice of the 3.1 seconds because this is, so there's so many different things that will affect the speed of this. It's more a case of let's take a look at our performance and that. And if there's a massive hit on anything else, let's retest this with the plugin installed and active and with all the services kind of running onto that. And let's see if it actually makes any noticeable tangible differences to it. Okay, so there's our result, and as you can see, our performance has actually had a slight increase, although that's more than likely due to the fact that there's other things going on at play. But hopefully what this does show is that it doesn't really make any huge impact upon it having it running, which is always a good thing to see. So I'm really pleased to see that is the case. So that is my first kind of look at Web Totem. As I say, I've literally just purchased this, installed it as you've seen me doing it, so I'm not going to give you any kind of feedback or review on this, other than the fact that if you're interested to see how this pans out, let me know in the comment section below. And in a couple of days' time, when the info starts to get put into the dashboard, I'll come back, create a very quick video following this up and let you know where I am. However, if you are thinking of grabbing it or you've already grabbed it, let me know your experiences down in the comment section below, because I'd love to know what you think of it, if it's something you're going to keep if you picked it up, or if it's something you're going to pick up and test it out yourself. As always, all the applicable links are in the description below. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.